Who's gonna go live?
You're
How do
going
you
live.
do it? How do you do it?
Tom. Ken? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it is a joyous day. A joyous day, and not just because of the opening of Barbenheimer. No. Not just because Clickbait Sports has made its triumphant return. No. The reason why today is so glorious is because now it is finally official. Dan Snyder is no longer the owner of the Washington Commanders. Right there, Dan Snyder. Bye-bye. You won't be missed. Goodbye.
What?
Bye. Goodbye forever. Goodbye forever. And some good news, even though it's not what we want. Some good news. That a-hole just got fined $60 million. So I know
that's a drop in the bucket, dude. He only got $6 billion. He's a billionaire, and that is 1% of his sale. So I'm going to be quite frank. He should be forced to pay more because let's put it this way. He bought the team for what, 100 million, 150 million back in 2000.
Oh, yeah.
He has single-handedly destroyed the reputation, honor, tradition, and the culture of one of the most storied franchises in football history. And it is near unrecognizable. He should have been kicked out of the league 20 years ago.
I'm hearing all this negativity coming from you guys about Dan Snyder. And being a Cowboys fan, I have to say, I think he did an admirable job. Like, I truly believe this was one of the best owners for the Washington football team, Commanders, whatever they are going by these days. 5, as a Giants fan, where do you lay on this spectrum?
I enjoyed the ineptitude of the Washington potato skin / football team / Commanders era. It was very funny to watch, but let's be honest, when a team is run so poorly, it diminishes the entire product of the NFL, and it diminishes a lot of the fun of the NFC East, of having a rival that you actually respected. And I had zero respect for that organization, the team. It started to cause, I started to actually feel sympathy for the fans, and I cannot do that. Having grown up in Northern Virginia and all those fans talking smack my entire life, I actually started to feel sorry for them.
I think they were all stuck in a nuclear shelter for the last 20 years. So I'm just at the point where they're finally coming out, seeing the light, and the sun's blinding them. It's like that feeling where you see the nuclear abyss come off after like just a meltdown. There's just waste, decay, maybe a ghoulish corpse here and there. That's probably Vinny Serrato. But at the same time, you're free.
Hopefully. Now, what would be more hilarious, though, is if Josh Harris comes in and is somehow worse than Dan Snyder.
I mean, with how the Sixers and the Devils are run, I mean...
And they just go from one awful owner to the next, and it's a 40-year perpetual period. Then I would just be like, it's DC, y'all are cursed.
The way I look at this is like this. Dan Snyder, the only negative, actually there are several negatives, but for me personally as a Cowboys fan, the main negative is that this man made the Eagles our primary rivals. This is not how it always used to be. I didn't have that much beef with Eagles fans. It was the Redskins at the time who I could not stand. And they have sucked for so long, so hard, we have now transferred all of our hatred from the previously Washington Redskins over to the Philadelphia Eagles. That is how bad of an owner Dan Snyder was. And I will not forgive you for this because these Eagles fans are in my tweets daily. This is on you, Dan. This is on you.
Yeah, they wouldn't have paid you any mind. It used to be 2 times a year, the Skins and the Cowboys. It was that whole Cowboys and Indians theme, and they ruined it, and they couldn't even retain any type of Native American iconography. Like a Commander is not, like the Chiefs did it. Like the Chiefs have some type of shout out to the indigenous people, but no, they had to change the name completely. They couldn't even retain a single part of it. Tom,
I kind of hope they change it again. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
like, I hope they do.
If you think about it, they don't have the trademark for Commanders.
I know,
so
that's what I'm saying.
Honestly, the ultimate troll move would be bringing them back to Redskins. Just to piss off Dan Snyder, because that was the one thing Dan Snyder wanted to do, was keep them that name, and he failed at that. So moving them back to that would be the most awesome, just middle finger to Dan Snyder.
I'm just saying.
Could we make Clickbait Commanders gear? Like, since it's not
can.
trademarkable? Someone look into it.
Well,
Someone
Commanders are technically like just a general term, so it's possible.
Sure.
We could get the AAF rights to the San Antonio Commanders, so we can do the Clickbait Commanders.
Washington Wildflowers, baby. It's right there.
Yep.
It's right there.
now,
Right there. On the mascot.
Tom, why are you dressed
It is
that way?
right
Can
here
you
for the
explain
I didn't get a
to the
chance to
audience?
go yet, so I mean, like, figured why not? And plus, I didn't have a chance to do my hair yet, so.
Gotcha. Can we get a look at what you're rocking here?
That's fair.
Oh yeah, we got the whole Ken outfit,
All
baby.
right. Can we ISO him? Somebody ISO Tom.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
That's right. That's
you
right.
are supposed.
Are you naturally that white,
That's right.
or
Oh yeah,
is this
bro,
a
I'm
tan?
white as hell. Like this is my tan
Okay.
that I got from 30 and 30. This is like the no. I
Bro,
told
that's
you,
your
I'm close. I
tan?
don't know what it is.
Brother, you look like a 90s styrofoam cup. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, buddy. I
I like
appreciate it.
I like it.
I appreciate
Now,
it.
are you anatomically correct though? Unlike the Ken doll.
Do I have a penis?
Yes.
Last time I checked.
It's a bit
So
of a sensitive question, isn't it, Five?
I peed earlier, so that was
Well,
something.
three of us have one, but Scooter's married now, so he doesn't have one.
What will we remember
Loses his penis.
from Dan Snyder? What will we remember from the Dan Snyder era of football? Let's close this out. Let's give this man a send-off. We will probably never talk about this man
No.
again, like after today, honestly, if you think about it.
If you think about old videos, I mean,
I guess.
we can still do
How
that.
about? I know you're saying what will we remember, but what would we say is the most egregious? We all get to
Okay.
pick what the most
Let's go.
egregious
Let's go with that too.
Dan Snyder moment was. I would like Tree to go first.
Oh, dude, this is like shooting fish in a barrel. I gotta go with taking the Washington Redskins cheerleaders down to Costa Rica and then whoring them out to such top donors and boosters of the club.
Yeah, I would say that was probably like the thing
And
that
we
should
knew
have
about
definitely
this
got him
for
removed.
years.
Yeah.
That's at the top. That's definitely up there. Now,
Culture
wasn't
of
there
fear,
some
baby.
like sewage that was coming down in the
Ooh, the
stadium
poo water.
Yeah.
at some point in time?
Yep.
Like
That
that's
was,
got to be up there
2 years
too.
ago.
My goodness.
Tom,
man
what do
was
you got?
egregious.
Are you
No, I was
agreeing
going
with
to say, I mean, besides the horrific culture that he created, that now he's paying
No.
$60 million for.
Didn't you see?
Culture's damn
You
good,
know the
baby.
culture is actually damn good.
That's what I hear.
Come on, Bruce Allen said it.
It has to be the cheerleader thing. Like, that is so horrifically bad. Like, literally, like, bringing them out and prostituting them out. Like, it's so, yeah, just across the board horrible. And, like, we all know that, like, he's cheap and, like, you know, he makes the fans' lives, like, miserable. And, like, yeah, that's all really, really bad. But that's probably near the top, if not the top, of horrible things that he's done. So,
So to me, as a Dan Snyder expert, much like Tree below me, someone who's researched him thoroughly, I thought that the email scam or the leaking of, all he did was he had a personal vendetta. He got John Gruden fired basically by outing him, like over some petty vendetta. And then what else did he do? He sued a newspaper for criticizing him.
Yep. He sued old ladies that couldn't pay their season tickets.
Yes. So he sued his own fans, which that actually happens. Like when fans pull out of these, they sign a 5-year contract and they pull out 3 years into it. Like actually the business owner is technically right in that situation. It just optically looks bad. So, but the thing that will last for me always is the absolute failure of FedEx Field. Like the complete and utter disrepair that this once proud stadium was, the level and condition that it's still left in. And here's the legacy that Snyder leaves. He was there for 25 years. He inherited the stadium. It was brand new when he bought it, and he has yet to get another stadium deal. There has not been a shovel of dirt that has been moved for a new stadium. That will be his biggest failure, because he has left the team worse off than when he came in almost every single category. And that is the legend of Dan Snyder. He is just a terrible owner.
Is there another word for legend that's more negative?
Infamous.
The infamy.
That's a noun.
What is a word?
Chat, let us know. Get back to us.
Not legacy, or just the ignominious
legacy.
Yes, of Dan Snyder. So there you go.
But let's switch gears here for a second. Dan Snyder's out. We got new management coming in. Let's get some predictions about new management, or if they'll be able to get this ship right. What are your thoughts on?
Oh, Scooter, you're lagging.
Scooter
You're frozen.
He's
gone.
The incoming owners, do we know anything about them?
His cable management is not good.
Yeah. This is actually, I told you guys off camera, this is my last clickbait. In this location.
Yeah,
so we're going to be moving offices. Take in the blue one more time. This is actually a wall. This is not like a screen or anything. But yeah, last time
you should call that wall Dan Snyder in honor of this being your last day on clickbait as well.
I don't want that. But thoughts on incoming owners? Do we know anything about them? Any news? Any thoughts?
Josh Harris, their group owns the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils. From what I've seen from them, they're pretty hands-off. They're not as meddlesome in terms of their operations. They're just average owners. They do get criticism from the 76ers owners, especially with how they treated, the process, like going through a bunch of different GMs and visions, and they've gotten some blame for that. And then New Jersey went through rebuild after rebuild after rebuild, and it was like there's some trouble potentially finding the right guys. But I think this next year is just going to be an observation period. And this might mean the end of Riverboat Ron if things go south. This might be the end of Doug Williams. This might be the end of a few other guys too. But for the most part, I feel like they're just average to around that area. So, I mean, even that is a massive upgrade over what Dan Snyder was.
No matter what, whenever a new owner comes in, they want their guys, right? If you build a business, you have people that you trust, and you can't just come in and inherit a bunch of guys and just be like, oh, I trust you explicitly. You don't know anything about them. You want to go with the people that you trust. And so, yeah, they're going to turn over a lot of management. I don't know if Riverboat Ron even wants to stay there, but that says something about Ron Rivera, that he put up with one of the worst owners in history. Like, that makes him actually more employable somewhere
because he
else.
Probably got paid.
Yeah.
That's probably
why. He did. But it'll be interesting to see what just a minimal effort does for this organization in terms of making it better, because literally it's like the new girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like,
here's the example.
Slightly better than the old girlfriend.
Here's the example. Hugh Culverhouse to the Glazers. The Glazers are far from perfect owners. They have a lot of criticisms, especially in the Premier League and how they run things. They have pretty much pilfered a stadium with full taxpayer funding. But even then, they are eons better than what Hugh Culverhouse is. So even if like Josh Harris has issues in Washington and gets a lot of public funding for the new stadium, which they kind of need, he's still eons better than what Dan Snyder is. That's all they have to be.
I mean, I think in what they're going to do this year, I think I agree with Trey. It's going to be very like observational and see like what works and what doesn't. But I think it's also going to be, but hopefully, I mean, this should be priority numero uno, is like listening to the fans about what needs to be changed. And that's going to be an extensive list. But just like having that dialogue with the fans is going to be so different from what they're used to. So I think if you even are just attempting to have that dialogue in some way, and then you start like, okay, what's it going to look like? Is it renovations? Was it going to look like a head coach? Like Eric Bieniemy just got there. Like, is he going to take over for Riverboat Ron? Because I agree. Like, I don't think Ron Rivera is going to last past this season, because there was talks about that last year of letting him go. So, I think it's going to be like, okay, let's see what worked. Let's see like what generates revenue, what have you, and then where we can make things better.
Guys, I got to take care of something real quick.
My question to you two is, how many seasons are we saying will it take for the Commanders to be competitive again? When are they competing for Super Bowls? When are they making the playoffs routinely with new management?
It's going to take a bit. I mean, it's probably going to be until regular competitive. I mean, you're looking at it as a standard rebuild. Depends how Sam Howell does. They do have some pieces. Terry McLaurin, that defense is really good. Antonio Gibson has been solid, same as Brian Robinson. So
Dotson,
as I said, they do have like a lot of pieces. The question is with Chase Young, but at the same time, I think best case scenario this year would be sneaking into a wild card spot. It would take probably about 3 or 4 years until they're like, say, regular division like headliners.
I think because it's also like they need to find out. You're talking about like who their franchise QB is right now, right? They got Jacoby Brissett and they have Sam Howell, and I know that there's some faith in Sam Howell. It's just like we don't know what we have. So at that point, like if they figure that out, but then it's also alluding to the defense. That defense has been like the focal point of that team, and you're like, okay, they got Chase Young, and they're like, oh, they're really gonna be monsters, and he just hasn't panned out as much as they wanted him to. So. Yeah, I mean, like figure out what kind of team you want to be, and that might start with a change, like at the head of everything, and like getting new head coach and seeing like where you want to take this team and what you want their identity to be.
What do you think they finish next year in the NFC East?
They're going 8-9.
8 wins?
8-9.
Yeah, I can see that. 8-9, 7-10.
I feel like they have such a tank pass. Like they have such a like with Sam Howell as their starting quarterback, like they can just go like 4 wins.
Who's the USC quarterback right now?
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams.
Do you think they might tank for Caleb Williams? If Sam
I don't think
Howell
you're going to have enough to do. I don't think they're going to lose enough.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Arizona unless they trade up. But you have to remember, Sam Howell was looked at like as a top pick in the early start of 2021. So there is pedigree there.
I think I think 7 wins is like around like where they'll be because they have enough talent. Like they'll have a decent run game. Like Scary Terry's still there, and he'll do well regardless of who their QB is. And they're also in a horrible conference. Their division is stronger, but they're in a conference like a really weak NFC. And you mentioned teams like the Cardinals, like what the hell they're going to do. I think there's going to be a handful of teams that are going to be worse than the Commanders. So yeah, it's going to be a race for Caleb Williams.
Tank Bowl is going to be revving up him.
All right, let's switch gears here a little bit because we have some more news to talk about as well. Running backs, Saquon Barkley, your Saquon Barkley 5 points, recently came out and he said, what is his leverage? He was asked, like, what can you do? And he said, well, my leverage essentially is F you. I could say F you to the Giants. I could say F you to my teammates. I could just do that and not play. 5, what is your response to that and the likelihood you think of that happening?
Man, that is so loaded. I mean, when you look at his value to the offense, sure, he was the straw that stirred the drink last year. Daniel Jones doesn't get his contract without Saquon Barkley, but there's a lot of risk for Saquon. You look at what happened historically with Le'Veon Bell sitting a year and getting the same deal. He cost himself a year's salary and ended up with the same deal.
And I mean, at the same time,
just signed whatever.
Lost guaranteed money, if we're being honest.
Now, on the flip, I am upset by this as a Giants fan that a deal hasn't gotten done. I know it's not my money, but I would like to see Saquon sign for at least 2 years and an option at whatever the franchise, just take his salary out of the franchise and extend that out. But the Giants are playing chicken and they're just like, all right, well, we'll tag you next year, put up or shut up, Saquon. And that's a little unfair to a 29-year-old back who,
he's 29,
26. I'm sorry. 26-year-old back, who is, the declining value of a running back is palpable in the NFL. Look at who's out there. Look at who's out there. Ezekiel Elliott, right? Pollard didn't get a deal.
Pollard's still on the tag.
Yeah, but he's on the tag. Do you think Pollard will how come Pollard's not?
They didn't even offer.
Well, Pollard's coming off a major injury too. You have to remember that, and you have to remember with Saquon, he's been injured 2 out of his 5 years, so there's a huge risk there. And speaking of your contract, you're talking franchise tag 10.5, 11 for 2 years. Saquon's not going to go with that. He wants 4 for 15. Would you do that deal?
That's absurd. That's
the problem. That's what they want.
It's not worth 4 years.
Actually, I don't know
that's
if
what
that's
they want.
what Saquon wants, because he tweeted recently, we weren't trying to break the bank, because someone had tweeted, oh, he's just money hungry. He's trying to reset the market. And he actually said, we were not trying to reset the market. We were just trying to get paid something fair.
Yeah,
I actually
and
heard
I think
something.
15 is around like a high-end running back's like top salary, I would say. Like that's not record-breaking. Like saying the bank would be like 20 million.
And I want to get everyone's thoughts on this question. It was from Emmanuel Acho, and he said that, would you rather invest in an average home or the nicest luxury car ever? If you had the option, which one would you choose to invest in?
You pick
and
the
I feel like
home.
that is
the average home is an
you
asset.
pick the home
It's
because the
gonna
value is going to keep rising.
Yeah.
And
The
so
value of the
that's
car
what-
is going to depreciate.
That's
and
what
you have
his
to take it to
point
the shop for
was.
heavy repairs.
That's what his point was, is basically that, Saquon is a great running back, one of the best running backs in the league, but the value over time, it's diminishing. And so it's just interesting to see how far running backs have tumbled. Tom, any insights on this?
I mean, yeah, we talked about this a ton yesterday, but I think in terms of like Saquon, it really just shows, one, how devalued running backs have become and how valuable quarterbacks remain. Because like the fact that Daniel Jones got an extension and Saquon, who I would argue won the Giants more games last season than Daniel Jones.
Easily.
Like it just shows where they're at. And I get it. I mean, we talked about the free agents already. We talked about the guys who are playing on the franchise tag. I mean, Austin Eckler, like he's another guy. He didn't get big money or like a big extension. I think it's just a matter of teams are saying, listen, yeah, like running backs are cool. For us, we're not going to utilize the run game a ton, or we're just going to take a bunch of average players. We don't need that game-changing player. And we have legitimate evidence that there are running backs right now either who do not have deals or who are playing on the franchise tag or not being compensated really well and are winning their teams football games. Like they are literally winning the game. Derrick Henry like wins his team football games. Saquon Barkley won his team football games. Nick Chubb wins his team football games. You know, like there are guys out there that do that. And I would argue like Eckler for a long time, like was one of their biggest threats. I know Mike Williams is really good. Keenan Allen's really good, but teams kind of like want their cake and like want to eat it too. And it's coming at the expense of running backs. And listen, I'm always for the player. So like, I get it. Get as much money as you can, get like all that guaranteed money. It's just as a running back right now, the NFL, it ain't the place to find it.
It blows.
And quite frankly, you have to consider, too, they're actually getting other positions to take the role of a running back. The dual threat quarterback, especially over the past 5 years, has blown up exponentially. You have 5 quarterbacks that have had over 100 rushes, and you have 14 that are over 50, 15 if you count Taysom Hill. So they're eating into that role. You have wide receivers taking that role as well. Deebo Samuel, Cordero Patterson, a few other guys as well, especially on jet sweeps. So they're taking that role too. And you also have the running back by committee. So you have 2 or 3 running backs that are specialized in one position instead of like one real bell cow. The only real bell cows out there right now are Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and maybe Saquon.
But I brought this up yesterday. Like, look at Isaiah Pacheco.
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. That's another guy. Exactly. Scooter, sorry. Like, there's a lag going on between you speaking and that. I'm sorry to interrupt. So, like, Isaiah Pacheco, drafted in the 7th round, like, he signed for 4 years and is going to make, like, $3 million. Right? Like, right now, the Chiefs have zero incentive to give him any money. They're like, oh, yeah, like, we'll lock it out because the average running back's career is less than 3 years. And if Pacheco's good after that, I mean, how much longer is he really going to be good? And because of that, Pacheco just made, significantly less than what he's actually valued at, or what he should be valued at, I should say.
And I just saw that something on Bijan Robinson. They were saying that Bijan Robinson will be making more money than most top running backs in the league because of the way that his contract is structured. And then to that point, I saw some people underneath saying that this is the strategy for running backs now in the NFL. You draft a running back you have all 5 years for him. And if you want, tag him for 1 year after that, then draft another running back.
In some cases, they take out the fifth. Sometimes they take out the 5th year option too, like with Josh Jacobs. I mean, they're actually paying him less than they would in the 5th year option, and that's the same thing with Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson, maybe Travis Etienne and Najee Harris. If they don't perform like gods, and they're not worth that, say, $12, $13 million, depending on where they are, and that sort of situation, they're just going to cut it down, save a few $1 million, and then put them on the tag. That's what happened with Josh Jacobs.
And the thing is, I don't see how this changes. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't see how we start going back in the other direction.
It's not going to change until the NFL changes rules that favor defenses against passing. And unfortunately, the NFL is never going to do that.
No, it's gonna, because again, we talk about how cyclical the NFL is, right? Like the one I always use is for running backs, and that they had the bus, right? In which it was like, you had the big guys, they're like well built, they just run through defensive linemen. So they go, okay, let's beef up our defensive line and make sure those edge rushers are like huge guys, defensive tackles are huge, make sure those middle linebackers are big guys. So then what happened? You saw an influx of speedy running backs or like dual threat guys like a Christian McCaffrey that could run around these big guys. And so you saw middle linebackers and edge rushers get smaller and a little bit thinner so they can catch up with speed. And then you got guys like Derrick Henry again. So that's all cyclical. Where it's actually going to course correct here is going to be like way down the line. And if there's any rarity within like the position of like people like saying, hey, you know what? Like, I'm in college, I don't want to be a running back anymore. There's that, if that happens. And the second thing is, if there's a team that has like a true RB1 that legitimately wins Super Bowls. Like, that's like the only way I can see this changing, because the wide receiver market continues to go up. The QB market's going to continue to go up, right? Pass rushers, that's going to continue to go up. Left tackles, that's going to continue to go up. All these things are going to go up. The one thing that's going down, and even their franchise tag number went down, is running backs.
Here's the question, though. When's the last running back that's won a team a Super Bowl?
Exactly. Look at LeGarrette Blount. How many times did the Patriots call up LeGarrette Blount and were like, hey, buddy, what are you doing? You want to come win a Super Bowl? All right, cool. Just come back for like a month.
3 Super Bowls for LeGarrette Blount. 2 with the
and all he had to do was run for 2 yards, too. He was just goal line support.
And he ran himself out of Pittsburgh, too. Went to New England, got a ring.
Yep.
I could see something happening if the Titans make a deep run with Derrick Henry. You know, I could see maybe someone taking a chance on another Bijan Robinson type character in the first round. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out, though.
You also saw teams who took a risk get burned badly, right? And so, like, you look at the Ezekiel Elliott's of the world, the Todd Gurley's of the world, and, like, even Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that guy is hurt a lot, right? And, like, I know he did well last year, and even, like, the 49ers, they got great trade value for him. But at the end of the day, like, there's only, Aaron Jones taking a pay cut to stay with the Packers. Joe Mixon, I know he took a little bit of a pay cut, but, like, he got a little bit more, like, length added to his contract. You know, like the market's just not there right now. Like, could you imagine 5 years ago having the current running back situation that we do, like the free agents, like having Zeke Elliott, Dalvin Cook to me is still a running back 1. Like, that man can go out and win games.
He's the most underrated running back in the league, in my opinion.
I think he's phenomenal. So, yeah, I mean,
it will be interesting. Okay, before we transition to the next topic, what would you say right now to running backs in high school? You come in for a speech, you're talking to the running backs. What advice are you giving them?
Don't.
I would say diversify your portfolio or convert.
Everybody wants to be the running back, though. Like, when you're growing up, the running back gets the ball. So when you're a kid in Pee-wee all the way up to high school, you want to be the running back. And then, you know, if you're 5'8", and you weigh 220
What are you telling
pounds,
them for advice?
I'm telling them.
I'm sorry, you're not telling them to diversify your portfolio. Look at Austin Eckler. Like, literally, there's guys.
I'm talking like diversify your portfolio, for example, like move to wide receiver.
Yes, like literally become a wide receiver.
Or
like,
corner. That's what I'm thinking by diversify.
Because at the end of the day, like, you can catch everything, but it doesn't matter. If you still have RB next to your name, you are going to be seen as expendable for the foreseeable future.
Quick question. What do you guys consider Kadarius Toney?
Wide receiver.
Yeah, wide receiver. It's like Deebo Samuel.
Cancer?
What? Okay, and
Super
on
Bowl
that
champion?
note, speaking of making, or speaking of things that suck, Vikings
Get
rookie
the
wide
ball,
receiver Jordan Addison cited for speeding,
Idiot.
reckless driving. He was going 140 in a 55. Instant reaction. What are your thoughts when you saw this?
Henry Ruggs. You think people would learn from Henry Ruggs in his situation that one false move could end your career, someone else's life, or even your life? That's
140? Have y'all ever even gone 100?
No. And no, I mean, I've like 90, but the problem is like it's early morning, so there's probably some drinking involved too. So.
I've gone 110. That's the fastest I've
You went
ever
110. What, in a
110.
NASCAR?
Not in NASCAR.
What did you do in a NASCAR?
I thought I looked up. I was like, oh my gosh, I was going too fast. But I was on the highway, the interstate. I was not in a 50-mile-per-hour zone.
Well, I mean, it's just dumb. Like it's really, really dumb.
Oh, no.
And like the guy hasn't even played a single snap yet.
Yes.
Like it's dumb. Like first round talent, wide receiver, bought a Lambo, like that's all good. Like you're all willing to do that, but it's dumb. And again, we also, I mean, how old is the kid? Like 19, 21 at this point? Like I don't even know how old Jordan Addison is.
He's 21.
He's
21.
Yeah, but you should know better.
No, of course you should. I'm saying at some point, right? Like we've talked about this, all of us either on our respective channels and or here. You just gave a 21-year-old millions of dollars and said, okay, here you go now. And it's the off season. Like this is the worst time because there's no camp, there's no OTAs, anything like that. Just like, here you go. And like kids go and do dumb kid things. And like, unfortunately, we've seen aspects where it's gotten people killed and it's horrible. And this is something of like why you got to give some credit to the Raiders. Like the Raiders have programs where it's like, hey, call us if you're drinking, call us if it's late and whatever. And like, we'll range. Yeah. And in the age of like Uber and Lyft and all that stuff, there's just not an excuse for it anymore. So
I think it's for the thrill and the feeling that you're invincible. I mean, you're the cock of the walk in college. You've been drafted first round. You've got a lot of money. And unfortunately, if you're not smart with it, you're going to blow it in the matter of months. And that story has come over repeatedly.
Even go that fast? Like I don't
sports
even
cars,
know
Lambos, McLarens, Ferraris.
Now I will say I have been in a pace car for NASCAR.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah, how fast did it go?
Me around. That was probably around 140 or faster, and I was sweating. I was like, my whole arm was like wet because
actually
it was because the G-force or whatever it is, you're going so fast, and if your body's not used to it, like it's wild. I had so much respect for NASCAR drivers after one pace lap. Because if you do one pace lap, you will understand what these NASCAR drivers are doing is phenomenal because it's not what you think. It's not what you think.
No, the amount of weight you're losing, like how hot it gets in there, like just like it's insane.
Jeez.
10 to 15 pounds of water weight minimum. It's the same thing for hockey goalies.
I will say this. I have no tolerance for anyone speeding recklessly. Like they have to be taught a lesson. There's lives at stake with that. I don't care if they're on a road by themselves, on a straight road, like excessive speeding. Yeah, someone's life is at stake. The guy driving the car too. So
what would you like to see happen to Jordan Addison? NFL's response.
Probably
a 4-game suspension. Yeah. I mean, if you make it so that guys are still going to be idiots no matter what, obviously. But I think a significant, a quarter of your salary is pretty significant.
I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm not saying either's right, but like, if you're getting 6 games for gambling or a season for gambling and like this ain't doing anything, I mean, like there needs to be, because again, right, it's the trouble he's going to face like with law enforcement, which is probably going to wind up being like a fine and it's going to be a joke. And then there's the NFL. Like, how much stepping in does the NFL want to do? And I mean, that's kind of up to the league. But if they really want to like send a message, it's like, okay, like first offense, like a game, 3 games, and take it from there.
Yeah, it's just wild. I appreciate that, Anthony. It's wild though.
Oh, yeah.
What wide receiver or what people are still doing with Henry Ruggs as an example to go off of. In other wide receiver news, though, I don't know if we talked about this or if it happened last week or sometime in between. DeAndre Hopkins finally signs
with the Titans.
Tennessee Titans. Something or nothing. Will this move the needle for the Titans? And I actually know a little bit about this because I just finished editing Titans fans before the season. So interesting to see your guys' takes on the signing of DeAndre Hopkins. Will this do anything for the Titans? Should they have just re-signed AJ Brown?
That is the answer.
Yes,
that they should have.
This is an overcorrection for sure.
Yes. But I just said it's confusing. Like, it's just odd because the Titans are in the best conference, not the best division. They're in a winnable division. You know, the Jaguars are going to be, like, I think their biggest competition. But it just seems odd. Derrick Henry, last year of his contract. Ryan Tannehill, last year of his contract. You don't know who your quarterback is going to be this year and or next year. And it just seems like getting an aging wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, who, by the way, I still think can play, and signing him to a 2-year deal. And I know there's a lot of incentives in there. It just seems like the timing is off. Like, if they did this when they made that run and were like the number 1 seed and stuff, and like that happened then, I'd be like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. You know, go get him. AJ Brown, Hopkins is going to get crazy. And I still think that there will be development for Treylon Burks to like learn behind DeAndre Hopkins. But this seems like, I mentioned it, like for the Cowboys, for the Bills, like a team that is like a legit like wide receiver away. And they're like, then they'll be like real contenders and like can go deep. I just don't know if the Titans, while I like their defensive line and like I like aspects of them, I don't know if they're going to be great because of this. They'll be good, I think, but I don't think they're going to be great.
Yeah, you brought up a bunch of great points. I just don't think DeAndre Hopkins is, a 1-1 anymore. He's probably maybe a good 2-piece.
What
or
changed
3.
to make
He's
him
just gotten
not
older and he's gotten hurt. He was not on the field much, I guess not having a healthy Kyler Murray cost him his game, but he has not seemed like the great player that he was. This is like kind of like signing Michael Thomas or something. It's like a lot of question marks about DeAndre Hopkins. And I don't think he fixes many of the Titans' problems at all. When you had AJ Brown, you had him and you just let him walk, basically, or 5th rounder. You trade him for peanuts to the fun Eagles, who now have him and made a Super Bowl, and it's made both you and me, Scooter, bitter because of that.
You have to remember the Jags were probably playing 20-dimensional chess because they threw all that money at Christian Kirk, which caused AJ Brown to get upset and demand a trade because they wouldn't agree to his terms.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Tree, instant reaction to the signing.
I think he just wants wide receiver 1 targets and carries, and he'll absolutely get that in Tennessee. I don't think it really moves the needle per se because they cut a lot of veteran pieces. That defense is a lot of question marks. They have some really good pieces there, but for the same time, I mean, a lot of their offensive linemen have been cut. They have a lot of defensive linemen, or like Zach Cunningham, a few other guys that have been cut as well. So they're in a state of flux, and they're kind of going through a retool/rebuild on the fly. Mm-hmm. I don't know how well it's going to work because Levis is still a bit away. We don't know what he is. They've apparently soured on Malik Willis, which I don't agree with because he's extremely raw. We all knew this. And Tannehill is Tannehill. I mean, does he stay healthy again? Because injuries destroyed them last year. And do you really see them making a push? Or is wildcard really their upside at this point?
I will tell you, after delving into their fandom for this video, this is how Titans fans were feeling. Before the signing, a lot of them were saying 7-9 type season, maybe 8 wins for the season. After the signing, these guys are one step below Cowboys fans in their delusion because this is the best thing that has ever happened to their franchise. They've been burned in the past by signing some aging receivers. Mm-hmm. They signed a Randy Moss. They signed Andre
Julio
Johnson.
Julio
Jones. Oh, yeah, that was bad.
Julio Jones, who wasn't really that bad for them. Like, they made the playoffs. They had a run with Julio. But they've been burned by older receivers in the past. So this is going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. I do think this does tremendously help the Titans, though, if only for the play action. Okay, because if you think about it, anyone could be that quarterback and just turn around and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. What this does now is you have your A.J. Brown back who can stretch the field vertically on those play action passes.
It's still Tannehill throwing the ball though, or if it's Levis, yeah, sure.
See, but
Levis has to be developed. It's I don't know who's going to be able to find Hopkins down there.
I think Hopkins doesn't have the same speed that he did, but he has his hands. Like, his hands are still one of the best in football. Like, I think he's good. Like, let's just say, like, week 8, Tannehill's not working out. And they're like, you know what, let's put Will Levis in there. Then I'm like, you know what, that makes a little bit of sense because it's a young QB. You have a steady guy to throw to that he's likely going to catch it, even if it's a little bit outside. Like, you'll be able to make those catches. So I think it's a good, like, confidence booster. But again, it's just the timing is just so weird with how contracts are ending and just like the state of that conference. It's going to be tough, man. Like, you think the Titans with everybody are going to be able to beat a team like the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals. Regular season, maybe they pull it off. But like when it comes down to crunch time, I don't know in the playoffs if they're able to do it. But again, like, you also have to think, if you're a Titans fan at this point, you are happier because your team is going to be better this year. You went from like having no hope to now having hope. Yeah. So
they're a team that lost 7 games in a row to win the year.
Yeah.
Like, something needed to change.
What do you guys think of the go ahead, Five.
Oh, well, one thing, when Hopkins was in his prime as a Cardinal and also as a Texan a little bit, they had 2 very athletic quarterbacks that could flush out of the pocket and find him open, especially Murray. You know, you would see these tweets that says, F it, DeAndre down there somewhere, you know, and it's not that way anymore. Like, DeAndre has to be a solid route runner. He's got to be like Tom said, he doesn't have that speed or that creativity or separation that he used to. And so, and he's not going to have, like, is Will Levis a Kyler Murray? No. Is Ryan Tannehill's a statue back there? And Malik Willis could be that guy, but he's not going to see much of the field, according to, you know, guys like Tree down here that say that they're sour on him. So it'll be interesting what happens there. I don't think it's a perplexing signing, but I don't think it's a great one either.
What do you think of the numbers that he signed for $26 million, can go up to 30, 32 with incentives? Fair value?
I'd say that's pretty standard,
especially
for Hopkins'
considering
reputation.
You got to keep in mind, like, reports were coming out saying DeAndre Hopkins, he visited with the Patriots, he visited with the Titans, but he was still hopeful to sign on a team like the Bills. So what do we think with this signing, these numbers, knowing he wanted to sign with a contender as well?
I would say the biggest thing there is, once again, he was number 1 receiver target. I think Buffalo didn't have the cap to really take him on. So I think that was the issue there. And I think the Patriots, it was just preference. Like, he liked the situation in Tennessee better, apparently, which, I mean.
See, but I don't know if he did, though. I think.
Well, it's also because, remember, Bill O'Brien's their OC.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
The same one that threw him under the bus.
Correct. I think it's a matter of, like, okay, maybe the money was so far apart from a team like the Bills, like the Cowboys, a contending team. Because originally, right, like, didn't he also want to go get a ring? And then, like, that got abandoned. And then he's like, all right, well, I mean, the money's just too far apart. Let me go and attempt to, you know, get as much money as possible, get wide receiver 1 money. Because if he hits those incentives, which, as was just said, he's going to have plenty of opportunities to, you know, he can make a good amount of money.
Yep.
Yes, he can. Okay, last thing, unless anyone else has something they would like to discuss, Bill Belichick on the hot seat or no?
You can't fire Bill Belichick. I mean, yeah, they've had some rough years, but I think it's his responsibility to walk away when he feels like he doesn't have it, or he needs to go to another team, like a better situation, like what happened with Andy Reid. But that will always be Bill Belichick's call. He's a legend. He's the greatest head coach probably ever. Someone just got a.
It was not me.
One.
Thank the Lord.
There was a big one that just came across.
Oh no, please God, no.
It was not me.
It's from Packer 79, so I'm guessing.
I don't think I got it.
It might be Scooter. It's Scooter.
Yes, let's go.
Let's go. Scooter's gonna get punished.
Yes.
Scooter's gonna get punished. So yeah, to me, Bill Belichick is never on the hot seat. He is the temperature of his butt is the temperature of his seat.
Dang, I already had the punishment picked for this week.
Oh,
too.
somebody had it?
No, I had it. I knew exactly what I was going to do.
I don't think they're gonna. I think they literally have to win like no games for the first like 8 weeks to actually like fire McCarthy. I don't think they're gonna do it in the middle of the season. But
yeah, Jerry
I'd
Jones.
If we start 0-6, he's out of there.
Yeah, like you have to literally win like no games.
Yeah, no games.
If we go
Unlimited bacon.
If we go 8-9, there will be discussions. I'll just put it like that.
Oh, sure. At the end of the year, like I just don't think in the middle of the year, like I'd be very surprised unless he's like real bad.
Yes,
and I hope they lose to Washington in their last game.
We might, because we'll be sitting people because we'll have the first seed locked up, waiting.
You just admitted you were delusional. Scooter. Like
no.
Literally just did. You said Titans fans are as delusional or step below Cowboys fans in their delusion.
But I'm not included in that.
So you're not a Cowboys fan.
No, I'm not included in the delusion.
Right. You're not included in the delusion?
Absolutely.
And I have a full head of hair.
Absolutely not. Can we go to the countdown, please? So, and also, can someone donate $200 to someone else up here?
Also, I do, because real quick, because I feel like we've seen a bunch of really good jerseys get unveiled over the past like week or so. Yeah. Like, I really like the Seahawks one. Thought that was dope as hell. The Colts one, I feel like is splitting the internet today. Like it's like the black helmets with like the darker blue. I like aspects of it, but I don't like the entire ensemble.
It's like they're trying to do the Detroit Lions classic logo, but with the black helmet instead of gray.
Can we get this up on the screen somewhere?
Indiana Knights.
And the one thing I will say, I like the Oilers' old logos. It just feels weird having them in Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know like they have the rights to the name. I thought they retired the name. But it still feels weird because it's not really Tennessee. It reminds me of Memphis and that disaster and a year or two at Vanderbilt Stadium. Like that's all the connection.
These Colts uniforms look like Kentucky. Like they look. But here's the thing about all the uniforms is like they might look terrible. Like
it does look like Kentucky.
Yeah, but when they get out there, when they're playing, like the players, when they put them on and they start moving, like they look kind of fresh, they look good.
Yeah. There's again, I really like the 90s throwbacks for the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Yes. I really like those. Those they did really nicely. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens.
All right, let's start the countdown because we know who won this. Yes.
Scooter, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose, Scooter.
Oh yeah, baby, let's go.
You're gonna lose.
20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 4. I'm so sorry, Scooter. You might lose. But I don't want to get too cocky because then someone might donate. So I'm just gonna say I hope that's the case. Also, anyone going to see Barbie this weekend or Oppenheimer?
Well, I mean,
you get a date.
Yeah. Here's the problem, though. I still have to get my things for it, and it's terrible. I hate it. I'm at $128.10. So I did not win.
$13.99, enough to buy a Big Mac.
Tom, what are you at, Tom?
Buddy, I'm below tree with 140. Oh, right around 141.19, and I know you got a $150 donation. So baby, you rock, baby. That's good.
We're at $164.99.
Let's go.
That's $20. Let's go.
Let's go.
Can I donate?
What?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
No. It's
all right. I would like to choose my own punishment.
No.
Okay. Well, pitch it.
Okay.
What is
Here's the punishment. I was gonna make whoever won today do this. I was gonna convince 3 of the people to side with me for this punishment. So the punishment is as follows. I have to do a 1-hour live stream on TikTok as an NPC Dallas Cowboys fan.
Okay.
Have you guys been seeing this?
You're talking about how people just give you a bunch of money. You want to stream so you get a bunch of money.
So it'll be me for an hour. Okay. Have you seen the NPC streams?
No,
I've seen bits of them.
People being like,
yeah, so it's like ice cream.
It's apparently a fetish. It's apparently a fetish.
Yum. I was literally going to make one of you guys do this. Ice cream so good. Have you guys not see this?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I am trying to. I'm trying to
putting
forget that because we are
Cowboys
straying further
twist
from
on
God's
it.
light.
And you guys can choose what I say. Like I could say like, this is our year. This is our year. Like when a donation comes in, like NPC Cowboys.
What if nobody donates?
No. What? Actually, I'm going to make a counter. You're not doing that. No, you're doing it as an Eagles fan.
Absolutely not. Not for $164.
Yes.
I'm vetoing.
You know what? You know what?
What the heck?
You called your own punishment. I'm going to twist it so it becomes a punishment.
Where's my veto card?
Because the way you're doing that, it's not really a punishment.
Where's the veto card? I think I have my veto card here.
You want to veto that? You can veto that. I like that one.
Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eagles.
Let me think about this.
Ooh, fly Eagles fly. Go!
Yeah. There you go. That is
your wings.
punishment.
I accept terms. I'll accept
Okay.
terms.
Terms have been accepted.
So it's got to be like fly Eagles fly.
Yeah, give me one. Give
And
me
you gotta
one
wear
thing
the
you want me to
Eagles.
say.
You got to wear the Eagles uniform while you do
Wear
it.
the Eagles uniform. What are the things you want me to say? Fly Eagles fly. What else we got? 5. You got one thing.
You have to say go birds. Go
Birds.
birds.
Tree.
Go
What you got?
birds.
Big Dick Nick.
Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm
You
not
cannot
saying.
say that.
But it's a term.
BDN.
I'm not
I-
saying that.
I want you in the highest
Really
octave
special.
possible going, I'm flying. Just like
Okay.
that with the flippy.
I'm
Like
flying.
that.
I'm flying.
EAGLES Eagles.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I like
Okay.
that.
Yes.
This
yes.
is for 106.
And then the
Oh,
last
dude,
one.
I have to do less to get on a sex offender registry. So you know what? You're going to deal with it.
So the last one, I think Cowboys suck. I feel like that is.
Yeah.
Like that's a good one.
F the
I
Cowboys.
don't think
I mean,
I'm
you
good.
just got done telling us for 20 minutes how the Eagles and Cowboys are each other's biggest rival. So
I think like I got to get my movement right. Like, okay, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
all right,
Good.
5
1
what do you
hour.
got coming up?
We're going to Portland, Oregon tomorrow to
Yep.
play in another baseball game. This is one of the last of the summer, maybe the last one. It's the last one until next year. We're going to be hanging out with Baseball Bat Bros, Coach Rack, DS Army, bunch of baseball creators. Chiseled Adonis will be there. It'll be a great time. And then after that, I have a video about trash talking in the NFL. Does it actually affect games?
Well, I'm also heading out to Portland, but before that, probably when I'm in the air tomorrow, I'll be releasing a video on why NFL running backs aren't getting paid. So a little bit like what we talked about earlier.
There you go.
Yeah.
I got Titans fans before the season coming out, either today or tomorrow. I got the full-length wedding video coming out, so you can watch my marriage in 4K.
Yes.
And I got
Yes.
Spurs after the season coming out. So we're doing all NFL before the season, all NBA after the season. We're halfway done with NBA. Let's go.
I got I'm gonna do a Dan Snyder reaction thing after this, and
yeah.
then
Let's get-
yeah.
So
Coach,
it'll be
I'm
released in
tagging.
about 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, I got.
Have you bought a new wildflower costume? No.
I
You
don't. Like I try. I've got new glasses that came today, and they're not the same. So
Oh.
Y'all
I
look
feel really bad
you
about
wear
that.
the Eagles.
it's not his party outfit. I'll be fine.
Like I okay.
All right. Bye, kids.
All right. We have made it.
Yes,
See you later.
All right. Peace out, brother.
Bye.
I'll see you in Portland.